Hi, this is David with Stress Free Property Management, and this is a tale of the dark side of property management, which is if you're a private landlord encountering the deadbeat tenants of the world. So I always tell owners and friends that generally about 3 to 5% of the population is this type of tenant, and their sole objective is to go around practicing a really believable story about how their last landlord was the devil and they need to move in right away and all these type of things to get you to let them come into the home without doing background checks and criminal backgrounds and all the different things you're going to do to screen. They're preying on people who don't do that and yet haven't yet learned, because they haven't encountered one of these deadbeat tenants, to do that every time no matter what. So I actually have a neighbor that was over at my house last night and the night before telling me this story about the tenant that they had rented to just 2 doors down from my house. And it was a roofer that she had hired, she'd done some work with. He had come over to her house to look at a repair, and she had mentioned she was looking for a renter. He's like, oh, he starts going, I love the home. I actually need a place really badly because my last landlord is dragging his feet, won't repair the house because a tree fell on the house and cracked over the roof, and the rain came in and ruined all my stuff. And could I rent your home? Could I rent it with all your furnishings? Because she was going to go RVing around the country. They bought an RV, her and her husband, so that was what they were going to do for the next couple of years. He heard her tell that, so he's like, oh great, I can get her to leave the furniture. Excuse me. Which is what she did. And then he's like, oh, can I have the utilities on in your name, because I just don't have the money right now. I lost all my stuff. And what he was doing, what these nightmare tenants will do, they'll prey on your sense of pity and just how awful that must be type of thing, and they'll get this really elaborate story that you would think it would be impossible for someone to come off the cuff and be really believable, because that's just a really involved story, so it must be true. And the reason why it's so believable is because they've been practicing that story sometimes dozens of times before they find the right private landlord who doesn't do background checks. So like for instance, we'll pull their credit and their criminal background. And that's really important. You want to check to see if they have evictions, if they're car repos, do they pay people generally. All that will be on there. And then also, just as important, you want to check the county records of wherever they've lived to see if they have any recent evictions, criminal activity, whatever, that may not have yet been picked up by these reporting agencies. So you'll catch it there. We learned that the hard way years ago, so now we always do that. So I highly recommend that. That will save you, if you avoid these nightmare tenants, save you thousands, and I've seen up to $10,000 in damages and lost rent for the really bad ones. Because some of these people, once they get in, their whole operating philosophy from there is to keep giving you delays. So like for instance, this guy had her come over last week every day. And every day he promised that the rent was in this little box that they had set up on the side of the house. It wasn't the mailbox, it was some other box. And the rent was there. And then every day it wasn't. And she would call him and he would tell this whole long story about how his dad has Alzheimer's and wandered off. He had to go pick him up at the hospital. His mother had a stroke. Not once, but 2 days that week. And that was two of the reasons why he wasn't there. So that was 3, and I forget what the other 2 were. But you get my point. And people who haven't encountered this just go, oh, it must be so bad, and they just keep waiting, and then they get into this rhythm of like, well, if I file for eviction, I'm going to lose all this money. And he said, just give me to the end of the month. And if someone gets to the end of the month and they keep delaying and they say, well, give me this, give me that, they're just trying to get you another month. So you got to just stop. File a 3-day notice. Make sure you file it correctly, because if you get it wrong, then you have to start all over. And if you file eviction and the 3-day notice form isn't filled out right, it will invalidate the eviction. You have to pay everything again. So you want to make sure you have a professional look at your 3-day notice and make sure you have a professional do the eviction, because judges hate when private landlords do their own evictions. So anyway, this is just a basic story I want to give you guys about these nightmare tenants. It's the #1 reason why private landlords stop being landlords and just never want to do it again, is because they don't know that people are like this. A certain small percentage of the population are like this, and they go through this horrible experience and they're out. or they hire a property management company, and that's probably where I get a third of my business from, is actually this particular scenario. So hopefully this helps you, whoever you are that's watching this, and if you ever need any help or have any questions, just give me a call or email. My email is david@tampastressfree.com. That's david@tampastressfree.com. Thank you.